Thank you. So we have a very short time for Q&A. There's a group coming in that is so special. People with some brain trauma, 130 people from a facility that treats, I don't even know the name, I think it's the Seattle Brain Cool Place to Be. I don't know the name, but they're coming, and so we have to vacate because there are going to be some people with wheelchairs. So let's take some questions. I'll answer them as best I can. We wanted to start a conversation with this movie that we didn't think was happening in America or the world. A conversation about how we can burst something different. So I saw a hand up right here, right away.
Well, as you know, Seattle is the first city on the
Can everybody hear her? Okay. Yes. Talk to your whole. This is all yogurt, effective.
Right. Seattle is the first city in the world to ratify the Charter for Compassion. We actually had it signed by Mayor McGinn and the Seattle City Council, and we have incorporated compassion as part of our Seattle system of governance. So that sprang from the Seeds of Compassion that happened in 2008. And as I said, we are on the forefront. We are now in the process of rolling out the Charter for Compassion and the Cities of Compassion through the International Institute right now. So I just wanted everybody to know that we are really ground zero in this compassion movement. And thank you. I'm so grateful to you. This
oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. We had heard about that compassionate charter. We had heard that you were designated or chose to be a compassionate city.
The Charter of Compassion was written by Karen Armstrong and Desmond Tutu, just to let you know.
Desmond Tutu, he's a good writer.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now there was one in the back, and then I think this gentleman. Yes?
It's kind of a silly question, but I was just wondering with the yogurt thing, did the needle ever go the other direction? Was there any like calm, relaxed, loving feeling that came over you?
I don't even know what you're talking about. You can actually calm and relax. Is that a feeling? No. No. It would veer that way, but like you saw it had a baseline of 0, but it would go a little bit. But no, it never inverted. I don't know what would make it invert. Some negative black hole energy suck. I don't know.
Feeling of love.
What's that?
Feeling of love.
A feeling of love, possibly. Very possible. I wasn't in a hateful state. But I was in an emotional state. What happened, by the way, was that morning I had been turned down by an actor who was a dear friend of mine for a movie I wanted to do. And it hurt my feelings. I thought, because I love this actor and I love this project, and I felt as a human being sometimes feels rejected. And so when my agent, and I mentioned my agent, that's why it registered so strong. And maybe love may put it in another direction. We'll have to try it. I always want to bring a thing of yogurt and see what we can do. Okay, other questions? Yes?
Yeah, so Colin Christensen, great movie.
Up and loud so they can hear you. Colin Christensen.
Great movie.
Thank you, brother.
One of the big questions that I wanted to know about is, I'm really heavy into like social media stuff, like Facebook. I said before, to the social media breakfast in Seattle. And what I see from doing analytics of just crawling Facebook and Twitter is you need sentiment analysis to isolate different sentiments and different belief systems, different geographic regions around the world. And what I really see and what I was looking for in this film is moreover how we bridge the connection of creating that cool culture around this kind of ideology and make it the mainstream, so it's not the Paris Hiltons and the Britney Spears that are the mainstream. It's moreover people that are doing great things around the world, people that are spreading great ideas, and those are the cool people in society.
Yes.
So moreover, what I'm looking at this and thinking is things like video games, film, all the different online things that we can do to spread that ideology and incentivize that.
Yes.
From your perspective and your travels around the world and speaking with all these people, how do you see what you're talking about here bridge into specifics that we can actually apply to here in reality, other than of course ourselves taking on our own steps and building the tools or going out and like using the tools we have to make the world a better place? How can we even get to a bigger level than that on a societal and a cultural level?
Well, first, Chris, right?
Colin.
Colin. Colin.
Colin.
Okay, Colin.
Yeah.
I love the way you're thinking. I love the way you're thinking, the spreading of this idea. How do we spread this idea? I made this film for one reason, and I called it I Am for one reason, because I think that's where it starts. That it starts with us becoming the change we wish to see in the world. As Gandhi said, my life is my message, right? It's not the message that I send in a letter to the President of the United States or to an article in the London Times. My life, when you look at my life, you see and feel the resonance of how I hope and pray and wish that the world could become. So that's the first and most important step. And that may be a step that you say, that's the most important step. The truest revolution is the personal revolution. That's what the mystic Thomas Merton told us, and I believe that. Now, when you become the I Am, and when you begin to shift, and when you begin to embody these philosophies, how do you walk them in the world? That's up to you. Colin, what you just laid out is beautiful. The first step to not building a society where celebrities are considered the, quote, cool and who people want to be is to shift the baseline elements of that society. You see, it's either, yes, in Ladakh, people want to be, in our culture, people want to be Michael Jordan, right? In Ladakh, they want to be the Dalai Lama. You see, that's a culture listening to something different. You see, so that's where it starts. And then the games reflect it. And then the media begins to reflect it. But it starts with you. But take that idea and do it. I'll be a creative voice for you. And each of you has something you can do. It doesn't have to be, that's a large, magnanimous idea that can reach millions of kids. If you just reach one, your own kid, or your own brother, or your own sister, that has an immeasurable impact. You see, you change the world with that kind of change in yourself. That's where the power is. You have infinite power. So I love this media idea, but let it start with you. You see? In your hearts and your resonance. Thank you, Colin. Yes? In the back, yes.
Hi, Tom. My name's Hope. And I just wanted
We'll stop at the name. That's perfect. You are the change.
When my husband passed on in 2009, hundreds of people came to celebrate him. And the thing that was predominantly said about him is that just spending 5 minutes with him, they felt loved. And I think that's the most powerful change that we can make, is how we help each other feel.
Well, you've just redefined success for us. You know, many of these things people say to me, because we live in such a linear culture, okay, you used to define success because your movies made a certain amount of money, you reached a certain amount of people, you were elevated, you were on a certain list. What do you now think of as success? That's success, Hope. Your husband's life was infinitely successful because people felt an energy about him that was love. And see, what our culture has to learn, this linear culture that elevates lists and is what Emerson called the idolatry of magnitude, is that is the widow's mite. The widow's mite is the only act of giving that was ever pointed out in the Bible. And she gave a penny, you see. But people may look to someone like me because I've given $1 million gift that means nothing. Harold is here to tell me that 5 minutes? Either that or he was oddly going to give me 5. Very strangely going to give me 5. But that's beautiful, Hope. Is anyone here named Faith? Because you guys could be a sitcom. Yes, she's right in front of me, yes.
Hey.
Oh, you're Faith.
Yeah.
Now, just so we know that shadow exists with the light, is there anyone here named Dow? Yes, you have a question, yes, sir.
Did you move to a mobile home park, you said?
Yes.
Or a manufactured home?
Yes, yes, sir, please, let me get one thing very clear. It's not cheap to live where I live. I have a much simpler life, but I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me. Okay.
No, I don't. I'm curious, did you inspire any of your contemporaries, other producers or directors, to also sell their mansions? Have you noticed this playing out?
I can't necessarily say to sell their, quote, mansions. However, I was the first person in my kind of circle to move to this place. And I think there's 7 families now that I have directly brought to the place. And some of them are very reputed people in show business. And so, you know, please understand, I'm telling no one to move out of their house. And if someone has a home with large square footage, that is not my judgment to make. I make no judgments. I share my journey with you. And if there are principles here that move you and touch you, and they inspire or provoke questions, please ask them in your life. But you may have a home with much more square feet. You may have many more children. I was a single guy. It was way excessive for me. You may use your home for art or gatherings or for charity events, and it may speak to your heart and soul. Fantastic. Mine was a societal vision that I got swept up in. You see? And all my friends had them, and I went, but I want them. You know, I just talked to a guy the other day. This is the effect our film was having. And he said he wanted to buy a car, but it was just because all his friends did. He saw a movie and he doesn't want to buy a car anymore. He realized that was my society. Everybody at his age buys a car. He realized I don't even need a car. And why would I need the insurance payments and the car payments? And that's what I hope the movie inspires, is you to look at your life and say, what is authentically you? And what has the society told you is you? You see? And then see reality. You in Seattle, I think, are already seeing reality. Only the finite has wrought and suffered. The infinite lies stretched in smiling repose, meaning that there's something